All right, what is up? It's Taylor back with another video. In this video, we're still working through module 7 of my step-by-step new seller guide, placing your first manufacturing order. All right, so let's pull up the guide really quick. All right, so like I said, module 7 is all about placing your first manufacturing order. And we already did a quick video on all the different barcodes and your product insert. That's a little bit of the background work that you need to do before you can really place your order. Today, we're going to go over something that I haven't seen anybody else really talking about, which is the new services that Amazon offers for freight forwarding and for warehousing and distribution. This will be a quick video intro to AGL, AWD, and the process of actually getting your first order started and shipped. All right, so your first manufacturing order. This is getting exciting. It's starting to get real. This is always the exciting part for me, or actually all of it's exciting, but this is definitely one of the most exciting parts, especially when you're first starting. So just to go over again what you need before you can really get serious about starting this order. You need to finalize your FNSKU. That's Amazon's unique product barcode. You need to get that finalized because you are going to use it for a few things. You're going to use it on your packaging. Most likely, the most cost-effective way for you to add the label to your product so that Amazon can scan it is to just have it integrated into the packaging design. So once you get your FNSKU, and we went over how to do that in the last video, you take your FNSKU and you give it to your packaging designer, and they can just incorporate it into the package design so that you don't need to use a label. However, sometimes that's not feasible and you do need to have a label made. And so you're going to send the FNSKU to your manufacturer at whatever size they like, and they will print the label and they will apply it to each of your products. The other thing that happened when you created the FNSKU was you created your listing and you got your ASIN. And remember that we're going to use that ASIN to add a QR code to the product insert. You're going to need to send that product insert file to your manufacturer as well. So you're sending them either the FNSKU barcode for them to make a label, or you're sending them the packaging with the FNSKU barcode incorporated into the packaging design, and you're sending them the insert design. Okay, you also need to finalize the total price. You need to finalize the terms of payment. This is most often split between a balance payment this is most often split between a deposit, an initial deposit payment, and a balance payment. The most common in my experience is a 30% initial deposit and 70% balance payment upon completion of the manufacturing process. There are other terms such as net 30, where you complete payment 30 days after the end of the production run. Alternatively, sometimes if your order is very small, they might require a 100% initial deposit. Okay, then you need to finalize the shipping terms. We've gone over these multiple times. These are the Incoterms. These terms distinguish when the product becomes your responsibility versus the manufacturer's responsibility. Remember, X works, which is where the product has been manufactured and the manufacturer leaves it in their bay for a freight forwarder to pick up from their factory. Or there's FOB, freight on board, or free on board, where the manufacturer completes manufacturing and they send the product to the port of origin, where it will then be picked up by the freight forwarder. Or there's DDP, or delivered duties paid, where the manufacturer assumes all the liability and all the cost of shipping the product and getting it all the way to its final destination here. These are the most three common, and all of them have their pros and cons. It just depends on what kind of terms you were able to negotiate with your manufacturer and with the freight forwarder. So like I said, there's some variables here. That's the Incoterms, X works, FOB, or DDP. You need to decide which one you're going to do. Then you need to decide on your freight forwarder. And this is interesting because, and this is what I haven't seen many people talk about, Amazon themselves have actually started to move into the freight forwarding space with AGL, or Amazon Global Logistics. So Amazon Global Logistics is essentially Amazon's own in-house freight forwarding service. So everything is kept within your Seller Central. It can be convenient. It can also be a little bit of a hassle. It's a brand new program, and so they're still working out the kinks. I fortunately have had success. I haven't had any issues, but it is a little bit clunky. So if you don't want to use AGL, you can use your own freight forwarder. I have a list of freight forwarders that I've worked with in the past in the toolkit, so you can check that out. Or your manufacturer, if you select DDP terms, your manufacturer will choose whatever freight forwarder they want to use, since they're going to be paying and they're going to be shipping. All right, and the final variable is, again, this is also new. You can have the products shipped directly to an Amazon fulfillment center, or you can have the product shipped to what is now called AWD, or Amazon Warehousing and Distribution. So let me show you exactly what these things are because they're new. I don't see many people talking about them, and it's good context for when we get into actually creating the order. Okay, so AGL, or Amazon Global Logistics, is a service, essentially, like I said, a freight forwarding service provided by Amazon themselves. So they offer some decent rates. The rates are actually really good for the freight forwarding part, but in my experience, they're not very good on the customs clearance part. There are brokers that need to be involved in the import of goods internationally, and there are fees involved with importing goods. And I don't know exactly how the Chinese manufacturers do it. I don't want to know, but they usually get product across the border cheaper than AGL. So it's a trade-off there, but it is nice to have the entire freight forwarding process kind of self-contained within your Seller Central account. So AGL is Amazon's new freight forwarding service that they just rolled out, and it can be helpful if this is the route you decide to go. Okay, so you've all probably heard of what a fulfillment center is. A fulfillment center is where Amazon stores and then they pick, pack, and ship customer orders. Now, Amazon has been going through some changes as I understand it. Essentially, they want to increase their ability to fulfill their Prime orders with the 2-day shipping. And so they have increased the number of fulfillment centers. However, they have also decreased the amount of inventory that you're allowed to keep at any one fulfillment center. They're trying to basically spread it out more evenly across the country. And so because this was causing issues for people having this lower inventory limit, they developed a different program. And this program is AWD, or Amazon Warehousing and Distribution. So essentially, there are now 2 different types of warehouses within Amazon. There is the AWD warehouse. This is a larger warehouse where Amazon will store your product. And then from AWD, they will ship units to each fulfillment center as needed. And they will actually do this automatically. You can set your own parameters, but they will do this automatically. As your fulfillment center stock runs low, they will automatically replenish it from the AWD inventory. So what this means is essentially you have a lot of different permutations of how you want to ship your products to the United States. You can have them shipped via AGL, and you can have AGL ship them to a fulfillment center, or you could have AGL ship them to an AWD center, or you could have a freight forwarder ship directly to a fulfillment center or to a AWD distribution center. Or you could have the manufacturer through DDP terms ship to either a fulfillment center or a distribution center. So there are quite a few options here. I just wanted to give a brief overview of what they all are, so that we have some context moving forward when we go into the technicalities of how to actually do this. There are some pros and cons to the AWD approach. Amazon is trying to incentivize this, so there are fewer fees. So essentially what they did, it says there's no inbound placement fee. I don't know if that's misleading or not. Essentially, it says right here, yeah, there's no inbound placement fee. Well, if you were an old school seller on Amazon, you'd be like, what is an inbound placement fee? Well, it's because Amazon implemented a new fee for shipments to the fulfillment centers. So now when you try to send product to a fulfillment center, if you don't break it up into multiple shipments, they will charge you a inbound placement fee for the product. Because remember, they're taking this product and they're trying to redistribute it throughout the country in various fulfillment centers. So if you just send all of your product to one fulfillment center, Amazon then has to turn around, break up that shipment into multiple smaller shipments, and then send it back out to multiple different fulfillment centers. Because they don't want to pay for that, they charge you an inbound placement fee if you ship a large order directly to a fulfillment center. To get around this, they came up with the distribution centers, the AWD centers. And so you can send bulk shipments to the AWD center, and then Amazon won't charge you the inbound service fee, and they will replenish the fulfillment centers from the distribution center inventory. And then to make this even more interesting, Amazon has different fees for your distribution center replenishment shipments. So if you use AGL, or Amazon Global Logistics, as your freight forwarder, you get a discounted rate on the cost of replenishing your fulfillment center orders from your distribution center. I know this is getting confusing with these terms, but essentially if you use AGL to ship to AWD, you will get a discount on the shipments that have to go from AWD to the fulfillment centers. Okay, so that is a breakdown of all these different options. Remember, before you start, you're going to need to have your FNSKU, your packaging, your insert, your price, your terms of payment, and your shipping terms all finalized with your manufacturer. And then you're going to go into this process of deciding which freight forwarder and which destination is right for you. Okay, and we'll get more into that in the next video, but this was just a primer, some context to help us understand the freight forwarding process and supply side logistics. See you on the next one.